Welcome to the Geeks. 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Lil.
And this is Steve.
And tonight we're reviewing Insidious from 2010.
Whatever that weird noise is. It's like
that
they play every fucking stream.
That old-timey like intro card, it's like, with the old like logo.
It should let you know right there. We're going to scare you with noise.
That's it. That's what my kids complain about the whole time. Dad, this shit's too loud. All right. So for those of you who have not been with us before, we will play for you our rating system.
There's a rating system in place that we like to call 0 to 0. If whatever horror movie we're reviewing is terrifying only to the most infantile who get nightmares from PG-13 reboots, it gets a 0. If it's a gorgasm-inducing slaughter party that satiates your most devious and monstrous desires, it gets a hero.
A family looks to prevent evil spirits from trapping their comatose child in a realm called the Further.
Weird that they would call him a comatose child when this movie explicitly states he's not in a coma.
I agree. That's what this says. But yeah, so starring James Wan's favorite actor, Patrick Wilson. Why is he in every James Wan movie, it seems like? Rose Byrne, Ty Simpkins, the kid from Iron Man 3. I was like, hey, that's the kid from Iron Man 3. Lynn Shay.
Patrick, what's his name? That's in every James Wan movie?
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson walks out to go buy cigarettes and never comes back. Like, oh God.
Oh my God.
Connected.
Leigh Whannell, Angus, Sampson, and others. Barbara Hershey, some other people show up into this, but it's a very small, close-knit cast for the most part. So I've never seen these movies. Again, I'm gonna go like these are the types of movies I don't go out and seek. I'm not a ghost fan.
It's my least favorite in the horror genre is like haunted houses and ghosts.
Yeah, it's like
I need that tangible thing, that physical thing, that threat that you can kind of overcome. I mean, I guess Freddy Krueger's kind of a ghost like that in a way.
But he still affects the tangible world, right? Like he cuts you, you're cut. Yes, in these only if they possess you, you're possessed. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know the rules yet. I know there's 5 movies in this series. We're talking about the first one. We're going to be doing them all. But for the first one, Steve, what do you think of Insidious?
Insidious 1, I'm going to give it a high sidekick. I'm not sure where we're going to go with the rest of the series. I've only seen the first one before starting this whole retrospective series. I remember my thoughts the first time watching it going, man, like that red demon guy was kind of a letdown. and in watching this movie again, like I'm going to give the movie credit where credit's due. Like they do some effective staging of shots. Like there's a specific shot where she walks into her daughter's room and there's like a guy standing behind the fucking like weird netting of the baby crib. Like there's very specific shots that are incredible. The shot of the demon guy behind Patrick Wilson at the table, incredible still, even though that was all over the trailers. There's very creepy imagery throughout, especially with that red-faced demon guy with his hand with the claws. There's some
the tongue and everything, yeah.
Effective stuff. There's that weird little kid ghost that's dancing around a Tiny Tim. There is some spooks in here. And this time around, I found myself actually really kind of raising the movie up from just a regular sidekick because that's what it was until the introduction of Specs and Tucker. Those guys I thought brought a lot of much needed levity to the movie, different perspectives. I thought they saved it for me. They saved the whole movie. So I enjoyed them, and I'm kind of sitting at a high sidekick. I think that this is going to be a high point of this series. We'll see though. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm at a sidekick. The reason why is because this didn't scare me at all. Like this didn't this didn't give me one iota of like a fear factor. And I needed to have at least some fear. Like even like, we've talked about other, like I throw these with the, exorcism type movies and stuff like that. Some of those, there's some fear. Not that it's like completely like jump scares that get you, but there's some really good like fear and feeling of dread. I didn't feel that here at all. Like I didn't think that Iron Man Jr. was at all in danger in this.
Well, I mean, fuck that. So you're gonna end up talking me down. You're right in the fact that like he's
spoilers.
he's just laying there. He's chained in the further. We don't need to worry about spoilers. It's so old, this one. But like he's chained up in the further. Like how come none of those ghosts could have taken over his body at any time? Like it's just sitting there, and like there's that red-faced demon's like chilling in the real world, like right next to his empty ass vessel of a body. Like just hop in that motherfucker. Like you see how quick the Black Bride does it, or whatever, the Black Veil, whatever that.
Yeah, the Black Bride. I mean, that's all we know at the end of the first.
You see how quick she does it. Like Patrick Wilson's only out of his body for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, but she's been stopped. So what we find out too is that
I guess you have to make that connection.
Yeah, is that Iron Man Jr., that's what I'm going to call him, is he can astral project his body, and he writes in some things that he's able to like watch himself sleep and fly away.
How would you not?
Like, this is garbage.
Yeah.
And then
you're talking me down.
And then we find out that Patrick Wilson was able to do this as a kid as well. And this is where we get Lin Shaye, which I love seeing Lin Shaye because if you're a Nightmare fan, you've seen Lin Shaye.
Mm-hmm.
She shows up in those movies, and I love it. And she did it. Actually, she did a good job here. But this movie is it felt like an almost shot for shot Poltergeist type movie. Like I told Jenny, I'm like, she's like, oh, I'm not watching this, and left. And then after like almost the end, I'm like, no, this is tame. This is Poltergeist. Not as good as Poltergeist.
I guess you're right. It is kind of the same thing. I mean, Carol Ann was gone.
Lost. Yeah, Carol Ann's in the TV in the other dimension.
You're
lost. And,
you're very right. It's you're. Yeah, I'm kind of hanging out down at a psychic now because I'm remembering the fucking those drawings on the wall. Like last night I flew away. Like why would you not? Like now you're putting all this together. Like okay, even if I had, like if I didn't believe like Patrick Wilson didn't, like I would have seen that drawing, especially if it's pinned up in my kid's room and they've moved houses and pinned it back up. Like so you've looked at these things. And man, their ability to just move. Well, not on a teacher's salary is just wild.
That is true. But I mean, not only that, but like Rose Byrne here, like, who I think is great. I love her. Like, I don't think anything she's done.
Very nice.
I'm but it's like she did a great job here, and she's seeing these fucking spirits. And Patrick Wilson's just blowing her off. Patrick Wilson's like spending extra time at school and like not believing her. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you can't keep saying you're grading tests. That was one of the most unbelievable things. Like, how is she just letting that go? She's just grading tests? Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah.
There'd be a lot more questions than that.
It was very, to me, very, like, Patrick Wilson here pissed me off almost this whole movie. Like, and I get it. They made him forget but like, he just acted like a dick. And, like, your son is in a coma for a reason, and Lin Shaye shows up and knows who the fuck you are. A friend of your mom, like, knows your family, like, and you're just gonna fucking dismiss her, like. Well, and
it's just weird that like it just doesn't seem like he remembered anything since before this movie started. It's just like you don't remember anything. Like, goddamn,
yeah, I don't remember last week.
Yeah,
it was a very, very odd choice of how he went to portray this role. And then of course, at the end he, saves his kid kinda.
But like that, the red-faced demon didn't like.
He didn't do anything.
He had little Iron Man dead to rights in the room. Like he was right there, and then all the little kid did is just like run down the hall, and then he's just chasing him, running down the hall, and like visually, some of it was cool. Like I liked when Lin Shaye was describing it, and he's got his feet are hooves. You're like, what the fuck? And then he jumps down at one point, his feet are hooves. You're like, oh damn, that's pretty cool. Like there is some stuff in here, but it's all surrounded by them running around in the fucking dark with the smog machine. Like I hate the further. It's so I don't find this scary at all. Like when he's like he flat puts the lantern around, there's people everywhere. It's just like I don't care about this. Like
yeah,
this is
it's kind of it's well
because they don't do anything. He just runs through them. Like so, this is not this is barely an obstacle. It's like you're running through like a cloud of gnats.
And I know this is before it, but they should have made it like the Upside Down, right? Like that's what I thought the further was going to be.
Well, and it's just dark, and then they turn to the left, and there's a house perfectly lit, and you're like,
yes, very bizarre. Yes.
And then, but like some of that stuff was pretty cool when he was in the houses and he was seeing the other ghosts, like with the family, and like.
Yeah, you're getting all these different.
That was creepy-ish.
Kind of like a time travel place too. It's like, a place.
It kind of reminded me more of like The Hills Have Eyes. Remember when the guy goes and he's like rummaging through the houses and it's like those weird fake families that were there for the nuclear tests and all that. I was like, oh, I should just watch The Hills Have Eyes again. It's a much better movie than this.
It is. And then at the end, so we find out that Patrick Wilson as a kid was stalked by this, they call it the bride.
Oh my God. And when she was like, I thought it was just a problem with the camera. I'm like looking at the pictures like, what? That is a whole ass person. That's a hand reaching for your child. You thought there was a problem with the camera? Like you have several pictures of this. This was not a problem with the fucking camera.
That was in the 80s. They didn't know cameras well. Those were those flash Kodaks.
It was the 80s where it was creepy as shit and you'd have to drop your fucking film off for some pervert to look through it while he's developing it. Like you don't think that guy was like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
what is this bride in black? So we find out when Patrick Wilson goes into it, because he can also astral project to find his son. The bride takes him. The bride takes him and finally gets his body and then kills Lin Shaye. The only kill in the movie. At the very end, she's choked.
And she's killed off screen because when we last see Lin Shaye, she's very much alive. And then she's being choked, but she's alive. And then Rose Byrne comes in and she's all kind of, I wish it was more like grotesque, unfortunately, like it wasn't like enough. Like she was
like
kind
a
of there,
ghost
but like
doing where you like turn
the ring, like remember the first time you saw the ring and you're like, holy shit.
Like, and the face is all frozen and exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It was okay. It's not great. I don't care. I know we got 4 more of these to review. We'll see how the rest of it ties.
You're right though. I think I'm right down at a sidekick with you.
It's a sidekick, yeah. So all right, well that's it for tonight. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. This is Lil.
And this is Steve. Until tomorrow night, everybody, keep it creepy.